And behold, yesterday, Democrats and some Republicans joined together to elect as Speaker State Representative Mark Rozzi, a Democrat who has pledged to govern as an independent. In a 115-85 vote, Cutler and McClinton both joined together in voting for Rozzi.
We have a unique situation before us. Never has this House been so divided, not just by numbers, but by beliefs. In carrying out the functions of this office, I pledge to put people above politics and the institution before ideology. I will tolerate no caucus and no member trying to outmaneuver the other. I will not tolerate incivility or a lack of decorum. Sometimes Republicans will win, sometimes Democrats will win. And that is fine so long as the beneficiaries are the people of this Commonwealth.
Now, the Speaker of the House in Pennsylvania is a bit more of an institutional role, so this doesn't fully resolve the question of who the majority leader is. But the point here is that the moderates from both parties work together to figure out a solution, at least for now, a politically moderate one. And it's precisely because no one had expected the parties to work together. And since the Democrats would have ultimately controlled the State House, it's not surprising that both parties agreed on a moderate Democrat as Speaker, but one who will not caucus with that party. This is how one would hope, in general, people could resolve issues on a national level. It's not apples to apples, by the way. National Republicans clearly won in the House. A Republican should take the lead, not an independent. But the political moderates from both sides can and should come together to try and come up with a solution. Keep in mind, there was initially anger and accusations on both sides in Pennsylvania, gaming the system, lawsuits, which is why this compromise is so stunning and should be celebrated. The Democrats gave up on the person they wanted and had initially sworn in, even though they'll almost certainly take back their 102 to 101 majority. And now Rozzi is expected to remain Speaker for his full two-year term. So how did they get this done? Joining me now is Republican Pennsylvania State Representative Jim Gregory, who nominated Rozzi as Speaker. Thanks so much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. How'd you do this?
Well, Dan, thanks very much for laying it out. You did a great job of laying out how we did this. In a matter of basically an hour, at about the 2 o'clock hour, as we were sitting on the floor waiting to adjourn, which means if we adjourn, we have given up hope of coming back with any opportunity to have any impact on the calendar of how bills run and what bills run, because we were going to come back in the minority, as you so well laid out. I offered up my friend Mark Rozzi, who I've worked so very hard the last 4 years with on the 2-year constitutional amendment window to give victims of child sexual abuse an opportunity to sue their perpetrators and the institutions that have protected them. And because we've become such good friends, I offered him as a suggestion to my leadership. They asked, what would it take? And I said, that's the question you need to ask Mark. Mark, what would it take? And so they asked him. And an hour later, literally at around the 3 o'clock hour, I was called to the front and I was offered the opportunity, given a speech. Would you like to do first nomination of Mark Rozzi or second? We've got him. He's going to flip from a Democrat to an independent, which essentially for me means that my caucus is not in the minority.
Right.
Their caucus is not in the majority. When we come back, it'll be 101 to 101 and 1, which means that the people of Pennsylvania who are, find pro-life legislation important, who find Second Amendment legislation important, the extreme legislation that they would have had the opportunity to run against us with that majority now doesn't exist. And I find that to be hugely important, Dan.
And I think that focus on moderation is critical because I don't know if you heard my debate earlier in the show where I was talking about why Democrats don't try to make a deal with Kevin McCarthy. I don't know what the deal would be. Maybe they ask for committee issues. Maybe there are other promises that Kevin McCarthy can make to Democrats, or maybe it's someone else. But I would think for the exact reasons you just laid out, because in the end, Democrats are not going to have the power here. They're going to be in the minority. And you would think they'd feel like they're going to be better off. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did in the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.